Oh, ooh. Wow, what's up? How am I doing today? I'm gonna be honest. I feel pretty bad. For some reason, this camera in the back, it says gain instead of ISO, and I don't know why. It's driving me crazy. I don't know what setting changed on this or why it's saying this. And when I move the thing up and down, it's not doing anything. I can't tell if my stuff is like overexposed or if I'm like crazy. I don't think it is. But the fact that it's like not responding when I push the setting button up or down is like, I don't know why it would change. It looks better than yesterday. I just turned my lights up. But for some reason usually there's a setting on the back of this camera for ISO, but it changed, now it's called gain. I don't know why. I didn't like firmware update the camera or anything. I have no idea why. But then when I changed the gain up or down, it doesn't actually change anything. I don't know why. Did you change it to a different mode or something? I don't think these cameras have modes. Mr. Jimmy talks briefly about his cameras on the last... Oh my God, podcast talk about cameras? What?
He just went through 100, one of our recent videos. We had 100 people in cubes. So we had an A cam and a B cam in each cube. So there's 200 cameras across the cubes. Then we have all the wide shots to capture it. We had over like 230 cameras rolling. And because our videos aren't scripted, we have to watch all of the footage. That'll take
200 cameras? Is that how many cameras I need?
100 editors. Like
you've got all that sort of stuff going straight to like a big server.
Yeah, we had to build a server in our studio. Because the problem is, if I were to take, for that video, right, it would cost $40,000 just to store all that footage, just petabytes of footage on hard drives. You know, if you want to send that to even just like 50 editors, that's 40,000, 50 times. So instead, we just have like a giant server rack that stores all the footage, and then they just remote in and edit. Because then the other problem is their computers crash, and you can't have 200 multicams, and so we had to have Adobe like, you know, mess with the software a little bit so we could actually like hold that many cameras, because no production. That had the most cameros recording at the same time ever in any production ever.
Oh, right. Yeah,
so,
I've heard you say that.
Yeah, so we had, it's just
crazy.
like a whole, that was a whole mess. Sometimes
do you know what comes second to that?
No idea. Hey, Google it. How normal people would film something like that is they would have like a story script, and then they would go in, they'd turn on one camera and they'd be like, hey, you say this is your character, right. Get your lines in, then they cut the camera off. They just do that with everyone.
General reality TV. And
exactly. But instead of doing that, where you basically put words in their mouth, we just leave them running and we're just like, fuck it, you guys be yourselves. This isn't scripted. It adds so much complexity and so much expense on the post in.
There was a massive story written that I just absorbed through like memes.
Okay, that's boring. Question for your Brunette Convo. What is your answer to the OPQ, the old people question for social services and healthcare? Somebody's already figured out the answer to that. Do you know what we're going to do with the elderly and the disabled?
What's the one problem right now that's not going to be around in 2070? The elderly and the disabled. Because we're just going to kill them.
That's what we're doing. I listened to like 2 episodes of Come Town. Isn't Hassan friends with those people? How does he complain about edgy jokes when those guys are as insane shit? Oh, yeah, I don't know, bro. It feels like I'm trying to like absorb some of the Come Town lore and shit in the background. Although I don't know how much I can catch up on reasonably. But like from what I've gathered, it was like really edgy podcast. Basically, I guess not too unlike me, where they were like, oh, we're like, our political views are all kind of like center left to far left, but we also like want to be like as edgy as fucking possible. And then they made it, and it got like reasonably popular, but then some of the people kind of like outgrew it and they wanted to go do something else. And then the people that left like have never, ever, 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 ever wanted to acknowledge that they were ever a part of that. Supposedly, did that happen with, is his name Stavros, I guess? Or but I don't know how much this is true or not. I've had like so much information like sent to me and shit, so I don't know. They're New York artsy types, yeah. Okay, let me just goon for like 60 seconds. Hold on, it's gonna bother me. Let me just goon. Let me goon! All right. I don't know why this changed. The ISO button changed to gain. It says gain on this camera now, but I don't know why. But also I can't change it. Like it doesn't respond to changes at all when I drag it around. Why? Why is this happening? Bazit, hello. I'm so confused. I don't understand. Whatever. Which camera is it? It's just my Blackmagic Pocket Cam, 6K. I had 3 of these downstairs. I was shooting with these for like 6 months. I've never seen it. The ISO just says gain, and I can't change it now. I don't know why. Open the settings menu, go to the record tab, change the dynamic range from video to film. Nope. You lied. You're a fucking liar, man. You're a fucking liar. I wonder if it's like a camera glitch. Maybe I just need to, maybe I'll hard reset it later. I don't know. Can you play the saxophone? Yeah, I can actually. I can a little bit. I don't remember it too well. Hold on one second. Okay, hold on. Let me put it away. Do you prefer ham or turkey? We're pretty split 50-50 at my Friendsgiving. Oh man, that's a hard one. Because both are just kind of meh. I think turkey vibes more and it goes better with things. Like you can have like gravy and turkey and stuff. I like the slight edge to turkey, okay? Did you see the psyop someone pretending to be DGG and DMing guests to fuck off? Yeah, but I mean like if somebody sees this and they take it like ultra seriously and that's all it takes to like make somebody think like, oh, like this guy must be crazy. What do you want me to say? I mean like there's no way you can ever prevent. Do you fuck with pulled pork? Yeah, pulled anything is like usually pretty awesome, okay?
Ladies and gentlemen, I have a couple things to say about this. All right? But notably,
Does DSP unironically do politics now?
Notably, the one thing that I would like to say as we start my commentary on this story, all right? Ladies and gentlemen, when was the United States populace? You, if you're American watching this right now, everyone who lives here in the United States, when were we asked, would you like to send all of your tax money to Ukraine? When was that poll? When was that census taken? I'm curious. I was wondering, you know, when I was going to be asked why my money or how my money can be used and to give it to other countries. Because here's the thing, all right? I just want to understand something here. I work hard, I earn money. I take the money that I earned and I give a portion of it to the federal government. And the understanding is that the government's going to use that money to govern. They're going to do things as public servants. We've explained this, and I explained it last week. The United States government is public service, meaning the government only exists to service the people of the country, period. Everything the government is going to do is supposed to be in the best interests of the United States populace, okay? Now, if Biden and Kamala Harris and the Democrats had come out and said, we're going to convince you, this is why helping the Ukraine is going to help our country in a big...
What news does he consume where he calls it that still, the Ukraine?
This is why helping the Ukraine is going to help our country in a big way in this war. And they actually gave a convincing argument and said, here it is. Okay? Maybe I wouldn't have an issue with 4.7 billion loans being forgiven and overall 61 billion being given. And by the way, that's just that one bill. There have been other things that have been given to Ukraine as well. I mean, how do you think they're getting these missiles on the story before? Correct? This is how this is all happening. All right? So, I would love to hear the argument. I would love to be convinced. But here's the problem. It didn't happen. Okay? What happened was Americans 4 years ago said, man, we just really don't like Donald Trump. We're afraid of Donald Trump being president again. So we're going to vote in literally anyone else who can win. Biden's an old crotchety man. He can barely walk or see. But you know what? We need someone else than Trump. We don't trust him right now. So we told Trump's the boogeyman. We're told that Trump is evil. We need to vote in this Biden guy. Let's do it. So they did. They didn't vote in Biden and said, hey, now Biden, you have the ability to do whatever you want with our taxpayer dollars. That's not what happened. Literally, people voted because they didn't like Trump. That's the only reason they voted that way. That's what they were told to do. They were mind washed by the mainstream media. Trump's evil. Trump's the devil. Trump's going to be like Hitler. Trump's going to be this big dictator, this big fascist guy if you get him in again. Therefore, vote for anyone else. So they voted for Biden. And then what's happened is in the last 4 years, the government took all of our taxes and sent it overseas. What the fuck's going on?
Jesus, true.
The ideas that I am talking about are ideas that are widely supported.
How much of our taxes went to the Ukraine, guys? Unironically, I do think it'd be better. I think it'd be a good idea if U.S. foreign policy was something that we spoke more about and tried to justify better. Because we don't really say much about it. We just kind of like take it for granted. But that's true of like all, I guess, liberal stuff. Ugh. What's going on today in the world of memes? Bro, these blue sky links are actually so fucking cancerous. They have to get like a link shortener or something. There's got to be a better way for them to... Oh my god, I feel like I'm clicking a hacker link every time I see somebody linked to this website. What the fuck?
Oh. Chompy? Not this again.
Why does he do this? What do they do to this cat?
Are you good, dog? Ew.
He's always just been like this?
What is that?
Hey, good morning.
Is that Chance? That's Chance?
Chance?
Yeah, good morning, guys. What's going on? How you doing?
Why do you sound like that?
I'm in bed. I'm just cozy and cuddling up.
What the fuck?
This is so weird. I did not like that.
Yeah.
How's my favorite little WoW gamers doing?
We're doing real good, bro.
We don't want that. Leave that shit in the bed.
Okay.
Where are you guys at right now?
Baron, just killing some shit.
What quest are y'all doing?
Oh, you sound like my grandma, man.
Dude, there's no way.
Yeah.
What is going on? Where's Vey?
She's getting up. You know, she's up.
Dude.
Yo, this
ready to game.
Does she know you're on the phone with us?
No.
I didn't know. Oh, wow. Oh.
Oh my god.
What are you wearing right now? I'm pretty experienced with these situations.
Khakis.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Fuck
That
yeah.
was getting really hot and horny.
Yo, okay, wait, Chance, are you getting up?
Maybe. I don't know. I feel like I should sleep more.
No,
I got
Chance,
up like
you
3
should sleep.
times last night with the dogs.
Oh.
Do you see the Ben Jordan Hassan shade? It never was a requirement to immediately delete their X accounts. I thought since their community seemed positively engaged with my last video, it'd be a cherry on top to migrate off what else. They have my email. Oh. Paste. Oh no. I feel when a guy agrees with you, but for the wrong reason. Wait, what would okay, let's say that I invited this guy on. What would it be to talk about? Because that one political thing he did was kind of a one-off thing, where he doesn't do politics very often, and then he does music production, which is cool. But what, there was a huge, was the big drive just because of the video that he did? Or was there some other thing that, this sonic weapon makes it impossible to speak. Do you think it's just finding a way to record somebody's speech and play it back with like a 300 millisecond delay to mindfuck them?
In this video, I'm going to be showing you a sonic weapon that I created that prevents people from speaking coherently.
I think it was June or selections. Damn it, that's hard.
That's exactly what it is. Oh yeah, this is why latency and sound setups is so important. You can't, or sometimes people on stage, if they're fucking up a lot and you're not really sure what's going on, it seems inconsequential, but if you delay somebody's audio by like half a second, it has to be, there's like within a range of time. Like a few milliseconds is fine, it'll just sound phased, and if it's too delayed, it's just kind of weird. But if you delay it by like, there's some golden thing where if you delay by a certain amount, you can't speak. It actually mindfucks you so hard.
Where it's like an invisible audio laser, and if I point it at your head, you will hear it, and if I point it just 1 foot away from your head, you will hear nothing. And it literally prevents the vast majority of people from speaking well. It makes you stutter, jumble up words, speak slowly, or just outright stop speaking entirely. The first concept of this I tried out back in 2004, and since then I've had a lot of different devices that I've tried out on a lot of different people inside my home. But the real test was taking it to a public, loud, distracting environment and try to not only stop people from communicating their thoughts, but stop them from being able to read out loud. So last weekend in a busy Hyatt hotel lobby, I offered people $100 if they could simply read the intro paragraph from this book out loud to me. But first I had a really big problem to solve. The devices I'm using are not portable, sleek, or in any way discreet. I'm using hypersonic sound arrays, which already look kind of weird, but they also use a lot of power. Just for the effect to be noticeable, we need about 4 amps at 48 volts, which is already more than what the average household refrigerator uses, so I needed a really large battery bank. So if I just brought all of this to a restaurant or a park or something and set it all up and started pointing it at people, I would be escorted out immediately, if not arrested or murdered. But I did find one place where I would blend in perfectly: the hotel lobby of KnobCon in Arlington Heights, Illinois. KnobCon is a yearly event that seems to cater to the farthest and darkest corner of music production, from DIY modular synthesizers to experimental sound. Okay, so how does this technologically work? If you don't care about this incredibly mind-blowing phenomenon, suit yourself and go ahead and skip ahead to the next chapter. Otherwise, first, hypersonic sound, which is what a lot of people and patents call it, I like to call it a sound laser. If I point a sound laser over here, you likely won't hear anything. If a surface is very that prevent them from speaking. Now, the other half of this weapon will require exploiting a phenomenon called delayed auditory feedback, which is simply jamming.
Okay, that's what it is. We didn't need to watch that. I don't know what the, yeah, I don't even know what I don't know what we would chat about. Who knows?
The different character things. Listen, thing that I got here, so the case in a different
based. What? Wait, can you even, would you live normally at this body temperature at 93.4 degrees? What is the coolest homeostatic body temperature? Normal body temperature is around 90.6, and hypothermia sets in when the core body temperature gets lower than 95. Jesus. Is that when it gets lower than 95? Is that just because is that because it's assuming your extremities are colder, or is it really? Damn. Okay, good one, Chief. It's probably external, which is very inaccurate. Yes, thank you. Yes, I'm aware that this is not a real reading. Yes. There is no shot. Oh, wait, is this the crazy live forever guy? The MRI showed that my terrible posture was killing my brain. The cerebral, it's going to be something about compressing my cerebral spinal fluid in the cracks and not letting it refresh.
I've been spending millions of dollars trying to create a protocol that slows my speed of aging and reversing the aging that has happened. An important part of that is posture. I never learned good posture in my life. I found this by actually finding a ticking time bomb. I had internal jugular vein stenosis. These internal pipes that have blood flow from my brain were restricted because of bad posture. My team and I went on this kind of code red alert of we didn't know how serious it was. Like, was I going to have a seizure? Was I going to have a stroke? I didn't know. I engaged with a specialist and I worked on a bunch of physical therapy and I corrected the problem without surgery.
I don't believe this at all. I don't believe no shot. We discovered that I have genetically narrow internal jugular veins. My biological is dangerous, cutting off the flow of blood out of my brain and back of my... Okay, maybe if he has like a problem, like a genetic problem or something, that might be true. Congenital means that like at birth, right? Maybe?
Your spine up through your head and it's pulled straight up. So when I'm trying to find the right posture position, I'm just imagining someone pulling that string above my head. I'm trying to have my head straight like that. That's a really nice starting. Imagine you have a string going through your spine up through your head and it's pulled straight up. So when I'm trying to find the right posture position, I'm just imagining someone pulling that string above my head.
Friends, I have the best biomarkers in the world. I'm the healthiest person on the planet. I'm fitter than most teenagers. My skin is smoother than that of women in their 20s who obsess over theirs. I have more stamina in bed than men in their 20s. I have better health markers than any hater, health influencer, and anti-aging doctor and scientist. My mind is sharper than it's ever been. My mental health is at its peak. My protocol, which is loyal to data and science, is better than any big money influenced government guideline or pseudoscience social media fad. Blueprint is the new standard. Jesus. My birthday now happens every 19 months. You can slow your speed of aging. Fuck. Anybody ever measure how long their telomeres are? I hope mine aren't running out. Jesus Christ. Wait, what drugs is this guy taking? 976 testosterone? How old is this guy? Okay. Okay. Basal temperature 93.4 degrees. Check for nighttime erections. I think you're supposed to get boners in your sleep. It's I think it's a sign of good erectile health, and it may be cardiovascular stuff, but I think it's also one of the ways they test for erectile dysfunction. You do like a sleep study and you see if the person can still get a boner or whatever, right? When I bend my head down 60 degrees, I can feel the pressure building in my brain. Is this how many pounds per square inch or whatever, or square feet of pressure there is? Oh no.
Strengthen.
There you go.
I do 2 exercises every day that help me strengthen the muscles. And you'll see this in the video with Gahito. He'll show you the exact muscles. They're small, they're very hard to get to. You're not going to hit them at the gym by doing bicep curls and lunges and other stuff. They're really nuanced. And so the first one is, it's highly technical and it took me a long time to get this right, is you want to have your elbows back, your shoulders like this position, weights in your hand. You want to bring your shoulders up and out. But in doing that, you're strengthening these core muscles around that maintain your posture.
Now here's the thing, guys. You want to pull with the shoulders, not with the wrist. So you hold your wrist back, neck long, and you pull your shoulders up and forward. And that looks better than I expected, actually, because this is very heavy. You know, so I have no other patients doing levator exercises with this weight. Up and forward, beautiful.
I do 2 exercises every day that help me strengthen the muscles. And you'll see this in the video with Gahito. He'll show you the exact muscles. They're small, they're very...
Okay, no one cares. I don't care. Wait, hold on. I need to learn this one, the hand-forehead thing.
Ever so slightly.
There's a lot of patients, when they do this, take them such an amount of effort in the beginning that they kind of clench to stay there. And patients who have that habit from before, they can.
Oh my God! It's like it's like mewing, but for your forehead.
Being visible, so you're not going to see them doing this. It looks perfectly fine, but they're clenching to stay there. When I have someone in my office, I put them in a position, and then when they're not expecting it, they cannot expect it. So I just come in and just, without them expecting it, try to turn them. And if there's resistance, it means they're clenching to stay there. So you have to cue them to stop doing that. So they want to employ minimal effort to stay in beautiful posture.
Any thoughts on why rich people are always obsessed with new age medicine / health shit? Honestly, because a lot of problems in life related to money are very much threshold problems and not like scaling problems. I don't know. What would you say? Like when it comes to when it comes to like money and happiness, it's very much I think it's very much a thing like this, to where like if you have no money, you're very unhappy, and when you start to make more money, your happiness grows a ton. But then there's like, it's a marginal return. At some point, it's like, okay, fuck, like this isn't really doing anything for me. And I think that life can have a lot of revealed problems. This is true in politics as well. Sometimes when somebody's complaining about a thing, they don't actually care about that thing, but there's something else that's fucked up, and that's why they're complaining about it. Once you have enough money, at least at the threshold that you're not like worried about money anymore, you start to notice a whole bunch of other things that are concerning to you. And I would imagine, I don't have to imagine because I'm rich. When you're rich, things like interpersonal relationships and health become like these more obsessive things, or it can become obsessive. They're things that you worry about more, especially health, because it's literally like, okay, well, I have all the money stuff taken care of, but if you have chronic conditions or if you have issues like this, these are things that just make you miserable every day and you can't buy your way out of them. And it's probably very frustrating to have to deal with that, especially when it feels like if you've got resources available to you, you can take care of other problems, you know? Destiny L, you're wrong. People scale happiness by what's relative to them. Poor people are just as happy as rich people. Okay. Spoken like a true middle class. That's a middle class person if I ever saw one. That right there is the most middle class state. God, I hate the middle class. God, I wish whatever candidate we end up supporting in the next elections or whatever, we need to widen the tax base in this fucking country. And you know we're going to do it? We're going to do it by taxing the middle class, okay? God, the middle class, they need to pay more taxes, okay? Because you can't try to live like you're rich, okay, while you LARP like you're poor. So instead, we're going to tax you like you're rich, and we're going to make you live poor, okay? That's my 2026. I'm going to run for House in Florida. Who quit? Didn't somebody, wait. Is Gates Florida? Didn't he just like quit? That's an open house seat, baby. I'm running. I will run in the House, and that will be my platform, okay? We will tax the middle class until they suffer as much as they say they do online. Okay. Hell yes. Are GLP agonists the biggest health innovation since birth control? Possibly. Who knows? Those are the smegmatude, semaglutide, whatever the fuck. I don't know what the name of the drug is. The Ozempic stuff. If the TNC wanted to stop switching with Destiny based off this meme tax take, I would not blame them 1%. You want to know the actual unironic take is that if you want to increase revenue effectively for the federal government and nobody wants to talk about it, you probably actually do need to tax the middle class. That's actually the real answer, because there aren't enough billionaires in this country to fund the government because there's just not there's not enough of them. You know, you need to widen your tax base, and everybody should feel bought into the country. You should there should be buy-in. The fact that our tax base is so top heavy, I don't think that's healthy. I think if you work and you make $25K a year, you should have to chip in a little bit. And if you're middle class, you definitely should have to chip in a little bit. I don't think the middle class pays their fair share. And you know what? For billionaires and millionaires, go ahead and bump their tax rate up a few points too, because fuck them, because why not? Also because they can fucking afford it. They don't give a fuck, okay? You don't care about the federal fucking tax rate when you're a billionaire. That's a lie. That's some bullshit. That's what a bunch of brokies, okay, on YouTube that are trying to convince you that they're rich, all right? That's what, when people start talking about like, I think the capital gains rate going up, that's going to have a severe negative. Bullshit. Get the fuck out of here, you broke motherfucker. You've made $50,000 in capital gains increases over the lifetime of your investments. Why are you talking about some increase on 500,000 plus yearly of capital gains increase? No shot you actually give a fuck about this. I don't believe it. I don't believe rich people care about tax rates, but also I could be, maybe I'm not rich enough to care yet. I don't know. Or I'm an asshole. I say that. I did the calculation on like the tax that I would have to pay moving to New York, and I realized that I dramatically over-exaggerate that. It's actually really not that bad. I don't want to move again, okay? That's actually the actual reason, all right? You didn't actually address his claim that broke people are just as happy as rich people, though. I don't think I don't know how I could possibly address that claim. You've either lived it or you haven't. The issue with being super ultra broke is that when you have financial stress, the problem with financial stress is like having back pain or chronic pain, in that it seeps out and it affects every single area of your fucking life. It'll make your relationship more stressful because you're going to fight about bills, and you're going to fight about where to spend money, and you're going to fight about who buys what when. It makes your social life more stressful because you can't go out with your friends all the time, but when you do, you have really awkward conversations about like, oh, I'm going to get a water, and everybody knows why you're ordering something. It's because you can't afford to pay for it. Gift giving seasons can be really awkward, so holidays become insanely fucking stressful because it means you're either gonna have to start like payday loaning, or you're gonna have to do layaway, or you're gonna have to do some weird shit to like get some money for things. Any financial like difficulty becomes a catastrophe. A speeding ticket, a flat tire, Jesus Christ, if the cold temperature rolls around and your fucking heater is out in your house, every single fucking thing in your life, okay, becomes a miserable fucking ordeal to deal with. And then everything that I just said is all built on everything else. So if one of these issues starts to come up, everything else is fucking affected, okay? So when somebody says like, oh no, poor people and rich people are just as happy as each other, I personally don't agree. I think that's a delusional fucking take. But if your idea of being poor is that like you can't go to Disney World this year, but you went every other year, I mean, I don't know what to say to you. That's just my take though. Who knows? Maybe I'm a fucking retard, you know? Can you explain why you think House is so good? It's hard to explain to an ordinary person. Personally, I would say House is good because I'm just like House. Super genius, smartest at every single thing, multiple languages, master of so many domains. Not many people understand me though, you know, but I don't know. Doctor, surgeon. Did you like Toronto? It's okay. Melina mind fucked me when it came to American cities now, especially after traveling through Europe, in that every single American city, including Canada, they all look the exact fucking same. And it is absolutely true. Aside from like New York City, every single city in the US looks the exact fucking same. And I'm like, fuck, maybe. Like you could be in like a neighborhood or even like a downtown area and look around and it's like, fuck, wait, am I in Seattle or am I in Miami right now? Oh, there's a Space Needle. Am I in LA? Is this Santa Monica? Oh, there's the Ferris wheel. Or am I in like, yeah, it's like, I don't know. Whereas if you go to, yeah, I don't know. I guess I feel like the European cities are a lot more distinct, but I guess it's because they're full on different countries. Boston is fairly unique. Yeah, true. You'll know if you're in Boston because if you try to drive, you can't. No, actually, the New England area, does Boston count as New England? It's actually cute. I'm okay with that kind of area-ish. But Nathan, why you sub to me? I was supposed to refill your lunch account today. Why are you wasting money on my chat? Jesus. What would be your preference in raising taxes on the middle class, increase their income tax rate, national sales tax, or tariffs? Unironically, there's something that, oh, Brune gave me a different way to think about means testing that I thought was interesting. Red flag, I didn't change my opinion because then I hopped to a different argument, which is actually a huge red flag. Well, actually, it wasn't a totally different argument, but let's see if I can remember what he told me on this. I'm a big fan of means testing because usually when you go to pass policy, usually people only want to spend so much money. And if you can only spend so much money, you're better off targeting the people who need it the most rather than just giving it to everybody because you're going to waste it on like people that don't need the money, basically. And I think that oh, fuck. I'm not going to remember this explanation. Let's say that you make, hold on. Okay, we can do this. Conceptualize and then rederive. Okay. Your income is here up to here. Let's say this guy's making 10K. And then this guy's making 100K. I think that the, so like in Destiny's world, I would say, hey, I only want to give this benefit to people who are making below 10K, all right? So I want to means test and then cut off the benefit here, right? So let's say I want to give these people $5,000 basically, okay? But I don't want any of these people to get $5,000, so fuck them. And I think Bruenig's argument was, instead of giving a tax benefit to like these people down here, just like tax these people up here 5,000 more. And it's like shifting like a whole thing. I don't know how to explain that, but it's basically the same thing. And this, I think this makes sense, right? But then you give the benefit to everyone? Yeah, I mean, the benefit you would basically give to everybody, but then people that are making above the amount you wanted to means test, you would just tax them on it there, basically, yeah. In practice, won't that be kind of hard to do? The only thing that makes it hard would be selling it to the public. But in practice, it would actually be way easier to implement than like a means testing thing that would require a little bit more overhead. This is nowhere near the same at all. How is this not the same at all? Go ahead, I'll wait. Okay. Okay, anyway. Oh, sorry. I was going to say, hold on. Is he me? Why are they making this a live action movie?
It's okay.
Destiny, okay. It's missing the population or number of people. As the number increases, the population decreases. Thus, the 5K to the below line would be more. Okay. You know what, buddy? That is true. But I'm sure there's a counter for that. Get fucked.
I won't hurt you.
I imagine that you would have to make the top people pay $5,100, right? Why, Rage Pope, why do you have to have an opinion on everything, even when you say the most retarded shit? Destiny, you also introduced government inefficiencies by taxing someone 5K and then managing returning them the 5K. What are you talking about? It would literally just show up on your tax form at the end of the year. You would have a liability and you would have an asset and you'd have you'd have a tax credit, and you'd have a thing, and you just wouldn't pay anything on it. What do you mean? They wouldn't actually give you the money. And you do know that like when you pay taxes at the end of the year, you don't give the government all of your money and then they give it all back and then you give them what you owe and then they give you what they owe. Like it's just one form at the end that you pay out. Have you ever filed taxes before in your entire life? What are you talking about? Fuck off. My God. downgrade his correctness rating from 50 to 30%. No, Rage Pump's correctness rating is like 15%. Like sometimes he's very correct, but most of the time it's either just wildly retarded shit or it's like kind of sort of correct. The real thing that's happening, okay, is he's spending too much time in that comp sci chat, okay? And the comp sci Discord is 2 people that really know what they're talking about, 15 people that pretend that they know as much of the 2 people, and then those 15 people being the most smug motherfuckers on the planet. That's what's actually happening. He's spending too much time in the comp sci chat, all right? Okay. What else do we have going on here? Oh, dude, did my headphones change? Or why do I hear things in 3D more now? What is happening? I don't know what is. I feel like I'm hearing things coming out of my fucking walls. Did that sound really 3-dimensional? Anybody else? What the fuck? Okay. Totally ignores the first part of the argument. Adds needless government burden to millions of people because it's easy to just fill out a couple lines on your tax reform. How is it needless what do you think is more burdensome? Going to a government office, standing in line, figuring out if you qualify for some particular program, and then having a whole like overhead bureaucrat figuring out whether you qualify versus like a tax like credit or deduction or tax that just shows up based on your income. What do you do you really think that it's more burdensome to just have like a income thing on your tax form than it is to create an entire administration to determine if you qualify for it? Because these aren't cash rebate programs. Okay. You messed with stuff yesterday with the various packet stuff. Yeah, but I didn't change anything for that. Other than make my mic louder, since apparently you guys need. Yikes. Literally just ignored Tech-to-One's essay allegations because he's now friends with Dan. Firstly, Jennifer, okay. Please refer to my community guidelines. This is a male-dominated... I'm just kidding. Joke! Secondly, we went over it yesterday. Thirdly, there just wasn't anything. It was just like a bunch of like soy tweets that the girl made for I don't know any reason. Maybe she did. Maybe there was more, but it was just her like tweeting a bunch of random shit. How am I supposed to evaluate it? What do you want me to say? If he raped her, it's wrong. Don't do that. Why do you never click on Instagram links? Because there's no volume adjust, so I don't give a fuck. Stop spamming it.
Okay.
Destiny drives Boston. Holy shit. Was this back when I was a Nazi?
Anyway. This is just like, I had the worst weekend.
Wow. Nice desync on the audio cam. What's happening here?
Okay. But yeah, fine.
Who re-uploaded this 9 years ago? Jacking my shit. Do you know how hard it was not to make my first Blue Sky tweet the N-word? I hope you guys realize how much discipline it took to hold back there. Ooh. Okay. TTS used to be so good. Yeah, and then I fucked your mom. Got him. Hi, Stephen. I don't know much about you other than your own as well as other people's takes. If you were to imagine the direction of your life going forward, what is it you strive for? I just want to make so much money that I can take enough time off work to one day bench 315 for reps with no shoulder pain. That's all I want. That's my only goal in life. Even if I have to chop my legs off and TRT my way up to 1,500 nanograms per deciliter or nano whatever moles, that's all I want, okay? 315. I'm 5'8". We're short. Better lever arms. I should be able to do it. That's all I want in life, okay? And then I'll be happy. Also, being more politically influential and making people think good things is also, that's good too, you know, but. Super chats in general are retarded. Doesn't give a fuck about your donuts unless you donate $1,000. Then I'll say, wow, thanks when you move on. Actually, I appreciate every single super chat, okay? Every hot chocolate I get in the morning. Please re-add the noise gate. I'm going to kill myself. Apparently you guys voted against the noise gate every time. Somebody emailed me back and they were like, you keep saying in the last poll they voted against the noise gate. Or they voted for the noise gate. And then he relinked me the poll. And you actually voted against it. I didn't even realize that. So I think people thought I was memeing when I said it because I'm so irony poisoned. Please go by Steven more than Destiny. I can't tell people to vote for someone named Destiny. You know what? At this point, I don't care. Yo, Destiny, you take 5 minutes every day. I saw your interview with ICH. Wait, what does ICH stand for? I can't handle. Icarus cries hard. The Iroquois conquering horde. The interesting cock handlers. The interrogative, combative hose. I don't know what ICH stands for. Wait, who is ICH? Destiny.
So,
What? Okay. Oh, iced coffee hour. Listen, do what your doctor says, do what you think is right. On days that if I don't take my medication, I feel slower. My brain feels foggy. And on days when I do take it, I feel crystal clear. If some people like to take it some days and not other days, then I guess knock yourselves out. I don't know, do what you want. That's just my feeling. Somebody says your noise gate made it so that it sounded like the pitch was actually going up. Why'd you pick that ROG one? It's, I don't know, just rated really highly. It's like, okay. Jesus, I hate navigating websites. Oh my God. Boomer, loser. How do you drink so many Red Bulls and not have heart problems? I drink 1 Red Bull a day. You've grown dependent. RFK was right. I am dependent. I'm a worse person, okay? If we banned Vyvanse, I would just become a serial killer, because fuck it, all right? Followed my parents about Medicare last night. They're mad that they pay more due to higher income. We're completely unaware of how much more expensive similar coverage is on the private market. Nobody is aware of how they benefit. Wow. Why is the Discord so detached from other parts of the community? It feels like no one actually watches you in there. People say that, but I'm pretty sure most people actually do. I think I memed that up into existence a little bit more as well. But I mean, it's kind of good. Like you want like a wider community. Yeah. Wait, what? No. Oh, it's just going to be a translated thing. 1 year ago.
Некоторые из вас, возможно, не знают, но я был курильщиком, и мой телефон звонит на фон.
Where is our new song? It's been so long. What the fuck? Did you get diagnosed with ADHD and prescribed medication, or did you start self-medicating? I'm almost 95% sure I have ADHD, but I can't afford to go to a therapist and get diagnosed. I did probably the bad thing, which was self-medicating. So I don't know, be careful. I think for me, it was a bit easier to self-diagnose. And then, I got diagnosed by 2 separate doctors for what that's worth. But like 2 really huge indicators that you can't really fake as an adult is one is ADHD has a high heritability, and my son has ADHD. So the chances that at least one of his parents has it is a bit higher, or quite a bit higher, because it tends to have a high heritability. And the second thing is that there are a lot of childhood behaviors that can be very predictive of it as well. And my schooling was like very, very, very atypical in terms of my stuff related to my focus, like in concrete ways, like I can see. Like one example I gave is that like I was the only kid in class that had my assignment notebook signed by my parents or my teachers, or I'd get like demerits because I was so bad at doing homework or stuff like that. I think there are other indicators too, but I don't know how reliable those are. Like there can be big gaps in different IQ subtests. I don't know enough about IQ testing. Like working memory will be a lot lower. But I also read, somebody made a big post that like big tests for ADHD are actually worse than just doing the DSM diagnostic criteria. So I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure. But listen, just be careful. That's all I'll say. Just like if you're trying to diagnose stuff, or if you're taking medication to see if you have ADHD, if you don't have any experience with recreational drugs, you have to be super, super, super careful, because any amphetamine that you take for the first time is going to feel really, really, really good. It's always going to feel amazing. It's always going to be like an awesome experience. So don't mind fuck yourself into taking an amphetamine for the first time and then be like, oh, I do have ADHD. I can tell because this is like the best now. Like this must be what everybody normally feels like. I'm so fucking high. Like be careful. Yeah. Do you actually think the results in Scandinavia could be achieved here? It feels like America is too individualistic for a social democracy in this current moment. I think you could. I think you could replicate it, yeah. But I mean, we have to have everybody on board with it, yeah. What if I didn't feel anything when I took 30 milligrams of Adderall? I think there might be a very low percentage of the population that's totally non-responsive to amphetamines. I feel like I read that somewhere, but I could be wrong. But just be careful. Fuck. We're not doing this every time. Actually, you know, we will do it. I don't care, actually. Fuck it. Don't let the haters dictate the content. Stimulants are scary. People abuse the shit out of them and destroy themselves. Other people take it how you're supposed to and destroy themselves over time. That is absolutely not true. From what I've seen in terms of psychiatric interventions or pharmapsychological or pharmapsychological interventions, is pharmaceutical psychological interventions, right? Is it pharma? Am I using the right word there? Stimulants are incredibly well tested. There's a ton of longitudinal data on them, like long-term studies and everything. And I'm pretty sure it's like ubiquitous. Even if you do amphetamines for 2 years and quit, your outcomes, I think, on almost every level are higher than if you hadn't. The idea that you're like slowly destroying yourself or whatever with amphetamines or anything like that, I've never seen any long-term research to support that. Assuming you're doing therapeutical dosage. If you're doing recreational dosing, so you're taking like 200 milligrams of fucking whatever because it's fun, or you're doing a ton of MDMA every single weekend for year after year, or you're doing you're just doing like straight like methamphetamines or whatever over and over again, like that will have probably long-term negative impacts, yeah, for sure. But at therapeutic dosages, I've never seen evidence, or I haven't seen any like strong studies that point to there being any long-term damage. Not as damaging as when yo mama, if you know what I mean. Is that immune to amphetamine thing real? I've been on 35 milligrams of Adderall XR and I can't hardly tell when I take the pills versus not. My wife says there's a difference, but I look at 35 milligrams of Adderall XR. That's a lot. That's a big boy dose of Adderall. If you can't feel anything, then I don't know. Talk to a doctor. I don't know if I don't remember if the amphetamine resistance is real or not. I feel like I read there's some website that doctors use to as a prescription guideline thing. Some doctor sent me like he downloaded the PDF of something. I don't remember the name of the site is called, but I thought I read on there that like 10% of patients are non-responsive to all stimulant treatment. I don't know. I don't remember if that was true or not though. I feel like I read that, but yeah, I don't know. How do you feel about the argument that recreational drug use should be avoided entirely because individuals cannot reliably predict if they possess genetic traits that make addiction likely? I mean, it's a balancing test, right? Like you have to balance out like if you think it's worth the risk or not. Because I mean, like that's kind of true of everything. You can become addicted to fast food or video games or gooning or whatever the fuck else, right? So. XR is delayed release, so maybe if you get the instant, you'd feel it. You should feel 35 milligrams of Adderall XR. I think you should absolutely feel that. How did you get a clinician to diagnose you and prescribe immediately? My doctor makes me set up an appointment at an overbooked psychology center. I did a telehealth one initially, which honestly felt kind of I don't want to say scammy, but like I could have said anything and gotten prescribed, honestly. But then after the telehealth lady was stupid and tried to fuck me on my meds. So I got a real life consultation with a recommendation from the couples counselor that me and Melina had. And now I see he's like a psychiatrist guy, specializes with autistic patients. So, you know, we get along real well. What you do with your meds? I don't remember what. I don't know what I did, but 60 milligrams is that's the perfect dose of Vyvanse for me. But I think she said she was uncomfortable prescribing up to 60 milligrams of Vyvanse, but she was willing to prescribe me 40 milligrams of Adderall XR, which by the time it like hits your blood and you absorb it is way, way, way more than 60 milligrams of Vyvanse. And the fact that she was dead set on prescribing me what would have been effectively a much higher dose of amphetamines with the Adderall, was just like, this is retarded. Like, I'm just gonna go talk to somebody else, because at that time when I was doing 50 milligrams of Vyvanse, a 20 milligram Adderall XR also felt perfect. Like it was fine, or about like just a little bit more. But the fact that she was willing to prescribe 40 milligrams of Adderall XR but wouldn't do 60 of Vyvanse, like this is fucking retarded. I don't know. Have you had jaw clenching sides? No, never anything like that. If I do MDMA, you can do that, like biting the sides of your tongue and stuff like that. For me, 60 milligrams is perfect, but I get anxiety in the afternoon or evening. Do you have that problem? Nope. What's the difference between Adderall and Vyvanse in your opinion? For me, honestly, I don't think I felt much of a difference at all. I think I ended up just saying I want Vyvanse because it gets higher patient reviews, but they're supposed to be like pretty similar. Let me get my Red Bull 1 sec. Maybe you underestimate your symptoms, so you feel like you could have said anything on the phone, but you just have a stricter standard for yourself. Yeah, maybe, but you gotta be just really careful because you can bullshit your way into a lot of different things if you're not careful. Just, yeah. Have you tried cocaine or any hard drug besides psychedelics? No, probably not. I think the hardest drug I've ever tried that I would consider hard would probably be MDMA or maybe Whippets, but I started Vyvanse at the beginning of the year after watching you go through the process, completely 180'd my life. Oh yeah, true. My life has changed so much. It's actually insane. Holy fuck. Are there obvious immediate benefits like I feel so much more in control, or do you only feel them once you've started focusing on something? For me, what I said is it emotionally regulates me a lot more, so I don't get as impatient, especially when dealing with interpersonal issues. If I'm hanging out with people, I don't have to be on my phone all the time. I can just like talk with somebody and chill. For some reason, I don't know why. I don't know if this like I placebo my own, but it helps my sleep a lot. Like at the end of the day, when I need to lay down and go to sleep, I can sleep for a full 8 hours instead of like 4 or 5. Yeah. And then there's obviously like the focus, like I can sit and read things. It's really nice, but. How do you do shit without needing any break or wanting to play games or some shit? It looks like you could literally work all day and not give a fuck. Kind of, but also I like most of the stuff I do for my work. So, I mean, that helps a lot, you know? Why has it moved you off video games? I think there's just so many other things that are calling for my attention that I should be working on. So it's hard to like just sit and play a video game. Did it increase anxiety at all? I don't think so, but. Why Vyvanse over Adderall? Didn't I already say that? There were higher patient reviews for Vyvanse, but they both felt pretty similar to me. Adderall XR and the Vyvanse. So. Is RFK going to take my stimmies away? Hopefully not. Thoughts on Ritalin instead of taking Vyvanse? It seems like amphetamines just have the best patient outcomes for ADHD. It's not even close. Actually, that's not true. I shouldn't say that. I'm sorry. It was amphetamines, and then there are non-amphetamine stimulants, methylphenidate, like the Ritalin and the Concerta, that also have good outcomes. And then if you don't do amphetamines or you don't do methylphenidate, and instead you do, there are other classes of drugs that you can start to explore, but they seem like cringe as fuck. There was that one, I always forget the name of it, like atoximol, I'm not even gonna fucking know it. Like I looked into this one at one point and it was just, this drug seemed cringe. I always forget the name of it. Oh, Strattera is the brand name. Whatever this fucking shit is this an SNRI? Whatever this is, didn't seem like a good time. And then there are other like, oof. Yeah, that telehealth lady that I called in, she tried to prescribe this to me at first, and I was like, I'm just gonna go buy meth from friends. Like, I'll do 5 milligrams of meth a day before I start going on the merry-go-round for shit like this. Fuck that. It's Addy or bust, okay? You can legit get prescribed methamphetamine for ADHD under Taxation. It'd be interesting to try it out. But I don't think any psych would prescribe it. Yeah, I don't think psychologists just don't normally prescribe it. Although it'd be nice because it's a lot fucking cheaper than my fucking Vyvanse that I just paid $1,500 to pick up. Is it worth exploring a diagnosis if I can only get methylphenidate? Yeah, sure. Ritalin or Concerta is better than nothing. Sometimes there might be contraindications. So something that is relevant to your health, that would mean that the doctor wouldn't want to prescribe a medication because that medication could cause additional side effects or complications that are no good. So for those reasons, you might be prescribed methylphenidate instead of an amphetamine. It just depends. Yeah. You watching any shows? I'm kind of working my way through The Sopranos. I just finished season 1 of Suits, but... Do you have to do monthly check-ins with your doctor, keep getting refills? I think just every 3 months now. Have you ever had modafinil or modafinil? It's modafinil? Is that hair stuff? Oh, no, I've never done anything. What, there's a subreddit. I read the subreddit so much now. What is it called on Reddit? It's like Tress. It's Tress or Tess something? It's the hair loss subreddit. Tressless. Bro. Oh, I said this in chat last night. These are like, you want to talk about like scientific communities? If you ever want to trigger people with some pseudoscience bullshit, bro, you come into this subreddit. It's so funny because every now and then you'll see commenters will pop up and they'll be like, have you ever tried rubbing olive oil in it? And oh my God, dude, they get, there's so much insane shit in here. Is it? I don't know. It's people that talk about modafinil and, no, not modafinil. I'm sorry. Fuck. I want to say midazoxinil? What am I thinking of? Minoxidil and finasteride. I think these are like the two big ones that they talk about. And then they do the poking of the hair thing a little bit. That can help a little bit. Barely. What's the poking thing? What's that called? Microneedling. Derma rolling, that one a little bit if you're doing other drugs. This is a sad sub. I don't know, actually. You know what? I actually got a lot of sympathy for the balders for a Dr. K video that I watched. I don't know if we watched this on stream or if I just watched it here. What am I, does anybody know what I'm thinking of? We never watched it. Okay, but true. Okay, listen. 2 or 3 hours into a trip, yeah, that's how you know that it started happening. Is when you look at your hand, you're like, oh shit. That's when you know that shit is getting real. Yeah. Dr. K basically does like a 5-minute speech or whatever, but basically, when men begin to bald, it produces a whole bunch of negative, like, things to the guy. You have a whole bunch of like downstream negative mental health effects that happen as a result of that. However, there's nothing, well, hold on, that's not true. I was gonna say there's nothing you can really do about balding, but that's not true actually. People respond differently to finasteride and minoxidil. Now I feel really bad for people in this subreddit because some people respond really well and some people don't respond well at all. Like, see this guy, he's posting his progress pics. That means that he probably responded really well. Jeez, this is 3 months, right? Some people will respond really well, some people don't at all. But like once you have Yeah, once you start balding, it's just like super negative health impacts, it's super negative mental health impacts, and it's like socially acceptable and encouraged for everybody to shit on you like crazy. And it's just like, and it's a huge meme for everyone. Like, oh shit, I guess this is kind of true. It's basically like what people think about fat people, except there's no behavior that makes you bald. You just go bald. And fat people are people are like, okay, well, come on, we shouldn't really make fun of fat people. But like balding shit is just like the funniest thing in the world for everybody to show up. Like, oh shit, okay, I guess that's kind of, oh wait, shit, maybe somebody linked it. I think this was posted in this subreddit. I think I saw it here. But
if you are struggling with balding, we're going to help you. We're going to help you by showing you a road forward. So the first thing that I'm going to say is that I have been working on this for about 3 years. So for 3 years, every 6 months or so, I will sit down and I will look at all of the scientific literature about balding. I'll look for some kind of silver lining in the cloud. Because we know that balding is bad, right?
Destiny, alopecia universalis here. Y'all can shut up, LeMayo. Damn, you got that Dune 2 build. I can sympathize with you because I have the alopecia version or whatever, which is why this disappears sometimes.
So we know that men who go bald have it worse. So they're considered...
Am I balding? No, I think luckily I don't. I think I would know by now because you have the Norwoods, the Norwood Reaper. I know all the terminology from this because I went to the alopecia subreddit because I was curious, like, oh shit, what the fuck is happening to my hair? And I was like, oh shit, that shit crazy. Because a lot of people get fucked with that. And I'm just lucky that sometimes I have a patch that falls out here. But then I guess once you click on one sub, they start recommending you other ones. And the trust list is the hair loss sub. So now it just pops up on my phone and I just click through threads because they have good memes here sometimes. Yeah.
Less physically attractive. Another big thing about balding is since it is a relatively uniform experience, it's so common, right? It's not so rare that people do.
What the fuck is the Norwood patch? So I think balding people will measure their rates of balding by, it's called the Norwood line. And I think when Norwood 2 happens, that means that you are balding. Norwood 1 is just like, I think, show your hairline. Yeah, like I have like, I think mine maybe is maturing, but like I don't have like a balding hairline. But I think at Norwood 2, I think that you get, it's like starting to significantly go in. And then you, like, I don't think this is, wait, this guy said, is this Norwood 2 hair loss? I don't think so. What will they say? Will they say yes? If it is, it's just barely, no? Nah, more like 1.5, yeah. But on that side, they call him the Norwood Reaper, and he's the guy that comes for your hair. Okay, sorry, hold on. Sympathize with our balding brothers. Are you balding in the back at all? No, I don't think men usually bald from the back. Do they? Or I haven't heard of that for male pattern baldness. I think it always starts at the front, right? Yes, they do. Okay, every single person in chat is saying yes, but I don't think I've ever seen this ever. Oh, from the crown? Oh, I don't think so. I don't know. I'll check my next haircut, I guess. I thought you meant like starting at your neck and like balding up. Do you know about the forums where guys try to naturally increase their penis size through stretching? Nope, but dick enlargement is a thing that I never ever have to like go and dig for, because if dick enlargement ever becomes a thing that's possible, then every single person on the planet will know instantaneously. So you don't ever have, that will never be a hidden secret ever. Have you ever heard of Hair Cafe? He goes over hair loss research on his channel, but his political views overlap with yours a bit. Nice. Destiny via a surgery. It's 100% a thing already. I think for surgery, I think there's like a ligament or some shit in your dick that you can cut, and then it kind of artificial. Well, it increases, I think, the length of your dick a little bit, but I don't think it's significant. And fuck all that shit. Honestly, the most dick growth I think most men could do in the United States, if you lose weight and you lose fat off your pelvis, your dick appears longer, basically, and you'll have more access to it because it's not buried in fat as much, right? How do the guys in porn do it though? What, have big dicks? I don't know. They're born with them?
Less physically.
Will baldness be curable in the near future, do you think? I don't know. I don't know how recent the finasteride and minoxidil stuff are, but these are like, this I think is like magic from what I'm aware of compared to even like 10 to 15 years ago. Don't take any of this advice 100% from me because I don't do these, so I don't know them as much. I'm just going by what I've read here. But I believe that one of these you can take that will bring hair back, and the other you take and it will it'll maintain your hair. So if you don't start it early enough, you can kind of be fucked. I don't remember which is which. But once you start taking them, I think you have to take it forever. Well, you don't have to, but you can stop taking it, but then your hair will start falling out, basically. But yeah. It's magic for maintaining. If people just started it before it happens, baldness would almost be cured. Yeah, but the only problem is I think finasteride, because most people that are serious about this take oral finasteride. I don't think topical stuff is as effective, but I think it can have some negative side effects. Although I think those might get over-exaggerated a lot, because anytime people bring up the negative side effects on the subreddit, all the posters get super ass-pained and they start throwing links at them. They say that it's super over-exaggerated. Yeah. Do you personally worry about balding? I don't know. I think it would probably suck, but I feel like I'm okay enough that like, I think for me, the most important thing is you just know what's happening. I feel like being in control or understanding what's happening is the most important thing. So like when this alopecia thing started for me, I think the annoying thing for me is I went into like a men's hair clinic and they were like, oh, we just injected it and then you're fine. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then I think they injected it and then it like kind of came back. And then it started to go away again. I'm like, wait, am I not fine? And then I had to go and do a whole bunch of reading. I'm like, oh, this is just like an autoimmune condition because my body is like literally dysfunctional. But not knowing or having any idea of like, I don't know what the fuck is happening right now, like is very weird and uncomfortable. But I think if you just know, like, I'll say this, but this is a big trigger. Well, you don't have to do this. Like if you start balding, it's good to know that it's like, okay, I either need to shave it all off or I have to do, or I've got to hop on the Min train and go from there rather than like just not being sure, you know, what's going to happen. But I think that not knowing for sure and then like having stuff slowly creep in on you, I think is really not good. Yeah. What exactly is happening to the scalp/follicles with hair loss? I don't know for male pattern baldness. I'm not sure what's happening there. I know that for the alopecia areata thing, I tried to read one paper on this, but it's like, this is like actual biology. That's too much for me. But there's a signaling pathway that involves JAK, J-A-K, which is probably related to the JAK2 thing from that, from the fake blood cancer that Boogie said he had. But basically what happens in alopecia areata is at times, because all autoimmune conditions are literally just random because it just fucks you from the random dimension for no reason. There will be a signaling pathway and some of your hair follicles on your body. There's a lot of parts of your body that have something called privilege status, meaning your immune system's not allowed to go there because the immune system fucks shit up. The immune system fucks shit up super hard. And when when things lose immunoprivilege in your body that are supposed to have immunoprivilege, your immune system goes in and it'll just, basically fuck shit up. So there's some signaling pathway that causes your hair follicles in certain parts of your body to lose their immunoprivilege status. And then they get inflamed because your immune system comes in and it starts like trashing shit. And then as the hair follicles are attacked, they become weaker and then the hair just falls out because they can't support it. And then eventually the inflammation stops because your body gets bored, self-sabotaging, and then it goes away. And then your hair follicles will regrow hair. And then it just kind of does that over and over again. It's pretty cringe, but... Somebody said, your hairline is hella receding and you try to hide it with your unkept hair. Address this insecurity on stream, please. I don't know if it's like young people or if it's people that don't know anything about hair loss, but I mean, like, especially after spending time in these subreddits, it's like, it would be, if I were to walk around and identify somebody with a receding hairline, it would be hella stolen valor from people that unironically, especially the saddest things, you'll get guys in here who are like 22 that are like Norwood 2.5 or Norwood 3 or whatever. And it's like, oof. It's like when people are like, oh, like you must be super insecure about your height. And it's like at 5'8", my friend, no. Like The guys that are like 5'5" and lower, like these are the dudes that have a lot of issues that I would like super sympathize with. Like that's you're getting into like rough heights there. But like at 5'8", you're not having problems like getting laid with like 98% of women. But when you start getting significantly lower than that, then yeah, it gets, yeah. Why don't more of these guys rock a longer hairstyle like yours that would allow them to hide it more? Because longer hair doesn't hide balding well, and it usually becomes really, really, really obvious. I think that balding is something you either have to fashion into, or you just shave your head, or you get on a drug regimen to stop it. But long hair to hide balding usually looks really bad. Which there might actually be some people, I guess. I don't know if that chatter was serious or not, but some people might think that my hairline is super fucked and that's why my hair is like long and messy. But I mean, it's not. Yeah, I don't know. Some people do it, but usually people can tell and it's not a good look. Yeah, reminds me of I don't want to make fun of anybody who's balding now, especially after. But like I think Mitch Jones. I'm not trying to shit on his parents, but like Mitch Jones is somebody that had like a pretty dramatically receding hairline, and he did the long hair, and you could tell like really obviously. Yeah. One thing that freaked me out though, because I thought he was fucking trolling me when we did that haircut stream. I didn't realize that I also had like a patch of hair that had come out like in the back of my head here, although it's regrown now. But the barber guy told me on stream, I thought he was fucking with me. He's like, you know, you have like a bald spot back. I was like, okay. But then I checked that out in the mirror later. I was like, wait, what the fuck? And then that's why when I started doing more research on the alopecia shit, I was like, wait, hold on. It's all my shit about to start falling out. So if you ever see me just shave my head one day, it's because hair came out in a place that I didn't want it to come out on. So I was like, fuck this. There's also a Minox beard subreddit. Well, the only issue is, so there are different types of things that cause balding, and they cause them for different reasons. So like the alopecia areata stuff this is like an autoimmune issue. So any hair regrowth I'm doing, and this is why like I stopped going in for the shots or whatever, because now I realize, now that I understand more of how it works, I'm basically just like fighting my immune system. So when you go in and you get the steroid shots, what you're basically saying is that like, okay, well your immune system is here trying to fight your hair follicles because it has nothing better to do. So if we inject steroids here, it'll like basically fuck with your immune system for a little bit here so that your hair follicles, and it's like, I don't want to be in this back and forth fight against my bullshit. Like, it's cringe. Destiny, my brother in Christ, download GoodRx. I usually the Walgreens that I go to will let you check GoodRx for coupons. There just isn't usually any good coupon for Vyvanse. I don't know why. It's very rare that there's something available. I gave up and started shaving it at 23. The jokes don't bother me at all, and it's not that often even. As long as you're blessed with confidence, it's fine. There are a lot of bald actors that are looked up to, fear of violence. Yeah, but the only issue is a lot of bald people are also, like, this is like the classic comment, or comic. Like, the bald guys are hot. And it's like, hot guys are hot, you know? Yeah. How much do you weigh? I've been 150 for a while. This is probably like my natural weight that I'd gravitate towards, I would imagine. Do you still get the brand or the name brand Vyvanse? I do, because reading patient reviews on the generics mind fucked me. So... Oh, anyway, here you go. Sorry.
We know that balding is bad, right? So we know that men who go bald have it worse. So they're considered less physically attractive. Another big thing about balding is, since it is a relatively uniform experience, it's so common, right? It's not so rare that people deserve sympathy. It's one of the few aspects of physical appearance that you are allowed to make fun of people for, right? So you can just make fun of people you can crack jokes about people being bald. There's no sympathy. You're the butt of jokes. in the realm of body positivity, like balding doesn't have a space, right? Body positivity is about weight. It's about curviness. It's about thigh gaps. It's about beards or no beards. But it's not about balding. No one's like, it's okay, like we should love bald people. No one says that. So balding comes with a huge mental health impact. It comes with a huge societal impact because it's one of these things that we don't accept. So I've been trying to figure out.
Destiny, somehow this kind of balding looks good. For him, this is also a thing that if I was actually balding, I would be super triggered. Or if I had like male pattern baldness, is because fucking random retards online will say shit. This, I don't even know if I would say Dr. K has a mature hairline. There is, no, I don't even know if he has an ordinary adult hairline. This is like a fucking teenager. Like I don't even know if he has a mature hairline. His hairline is unbelievable. This is a godly hairline. Like, what the fuck? Jesus. It's an Indian hairline. What do they normally have good? It's Ayurvedic genetics.
Like, what can I do to help people who are bald?
And he's like, isn't Dr. K like 40 plus years old? They think a big forehead is balding? Oh, maybe.
So I've had patients who have gone bald, like sometimes
The chatter forgot to post his image link when he made that comment. Oh shit, was he? Oh, sorry.
I'll prescribe things like Propecia, which is an androgen converting blocker, an aromatase blocker, right? So there are different things that we can try to do to help people not go bald. But some people go bald. A lot of people go bald. And what do we do to help them? So for 3 years, I've been looking...
What are your thoughts on hair transplants? They can be much more common. Do you think they'll get to a point they're cheap and readily available? I don't know if they'll be cheap or not. It's hard because the selection bias is big on people post, obviously, when they have good results. But like in that Tress Less subreddit or whatever, people seem to have really good results with hair transplants. You just have to make sure that once you take them, or once you do a hair transplant, that you're taking... is it Fin and Minox for the rest of your life? Because you don't want to have like a receding hairline past your hair transplant thing or whatever.
Looking at literature. And I've been trying to figure out, like, what can we do? And the science is very, very, like, disappointing. There's, like, study after study shows that if you're bald, basically there's going to be mental health impacts. There's this concept of pretty privilege, which is very real, right? So if you're considered physically attractive, it comes with all kinds of other advantages. And so then there's this kind of idea that, like, as a bald man, you're going to be insecure. Like, the world is objectively going to treat you worse. The world is not going to give you sympathy for treating you worse, right? They're going to say, this sucks for you, and sorry about that. Actually, they're not going to say sorry. They're going to say, ha, 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 right? Because you're a bald dude. So there's, like, no sympathy. In fact, we're going to treat you like crap. There's all kinds of self-esteem issues that come with that because you perceive yourself in a particular way, right? So when you look in the mirror, you see you. But as you start to go bald, you're kind of becoming a new you, but it's not like we're embracing a new you. We're actually just losing a better version of yourself. You're just like losing a part of yourself that makes you more attractive. It's like just a net loss. There's no gain. So this is why I haven't made much content about being bald, because I haven't found an answer. I haven't found a way to help people. Beyond, yeah, it sucks. I'm sorry. It do be like that sometimes. So that doesn't work, right? Like, I can't just make a video that says, y'all are screwed. I'm sorry about that. And then there's this flip side that's kind of like, and this is true, so we're going to talk a little bit about this. So the real challenge with being bald is not just that other people treat you differently. The real challenge with being bald is that you treat yourself differently. You lose confidence. You feel that a part of your life is lost. And then this becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy because now you have low self-esteem and you're bald, right? Which is like either of those is enough to screw over your chances at life. Now, if you're looking at me and you're kind of thinking to yourself, here's Dr. K talking about how we're all screwed. Why is he smiling? It's because for the first time in 3 years, I have found something that blew my mind and that gives me hope. Let us look at science. Okay? All right, so before we get to this, there's one thing that I kind of noticed, is that not everyone who is bald is screwed.
Oh, this is a much more positive video. I feel like I watched a video, or was this the same one? Or maybe I just didn't watch long enough. I feel like I watched a video of him talking about this. It got posted to that one subreddit, and he was basically just like, if you're balding, you're fucked. The mental healthcare outcomes are always bad. There's no upside. It's just, there's no way to get rid of it. You're just completely fucked, and you can try to, whatever. But maybe, oh, wow, maybe we found something.
Right? So there's a lot of evidence that shows that on average, it negatively impacts people's lives. But I have friends who are bald. When I go to the playground with my kids, like...
Oh, wait. Was it this it? But this is the same background, so maybe...
Every 6 months or so.
Oh, no, wait. Is this what I just listened to?
I will sit down and I will look at all of the scientific literature about balding. I'll look for some kind of silver lining in the cloud. Because we know that balding is bad, right? So we know that men who go bald have it worse. So they're considered have a space, right? Body.
Okay, never mind. We did just listen to it. Man, I guess I feel like I remember it being so much more negative than this. Maybe it's just the comments in that sub. Okay, never mind. All right.
30% of the dudes that are bald, but they appear to be just as happily married as I am. I know people who shave their head and are actually in healthy relationships, become successful, right? I've even seen, like, you know, everyone's like, oh, women don't like bald dudes. But there's apparently this guy, and apparently a lot of women like this guy, right? And so there's this guy apparently is beloved by women. So clearly, some people manage it.
How is worrying about balding any different than incels worrying about their jawlines? Like it's just genes, why worry? It's just genes, why worry? First of all, that's an incredibly fucking retarded statement to make. But I think the second problem is because of what he said before. Because if you have a bad jawline, you've always had a bad jawline. There would be a difference between that versus like developing a bad jawline, right? Like going from having a good one to a bad one would probably be a lot different, right?
Right? So let's take a look. So how is this, right? So if we look, oh no, I lost my highlights. Damn it. Okay, we'll fix it. We'll find this. Okay. So, but in reality, we see that there are people.
I wanted to kill myself for like a year when I started to go bald. After shaving it, I just stopped caring right away. It was crazy realizing how much time I was spending thinking about my hair before I finally started shaving it. Yeah, I think that there's something to be said for just like accepting a thing and just like, just whatever. I used to say this before for like crisis management. Usually if I'm facing any type of like particular crisis or if anything like weird or dumb is happening, that happens so often, usually what I'll do is I'll just look at it and be like, okay, what is the absolute worst outcome from this thing? Okay, let's just assume that like that happens. How would we feel? How would we process it? And I'll try to like process everything from there. So that even if the worst outcome happens, like, okay, whatever. Is it really that big of a deal? Fucking probably not. I think that I think that, I don't know how to explain this, but there is, let's say that green is the reality, okay? So green is what's actually happening, all right? So something is happening and it's getting worse and worse and worse and worse, okay? And then let's say that blue is your expectation for that thing. I feel like this thing where you have an expectation and then things get worse and then you have to readjust your expectation and then things get worse and then you have to readjust and then you have to readjust. I feel like what happens is if we plot our unhappiness with a red, I feel like what happens is as soon as things start to get bad and you have to readjust, you get unhappy and then you kind of acclimate and then things get bad and you have to readjust and then you get things kind of acclimate. And I feel like this kind of like bad pattern happens where you're freaking yourself out over and over and over and over and over again. Rather than what I said before, it's like, okay, listen, this is the worst things could be. If things are just like this, let's just do this. You have your moment and you take your time and you whatever, but then once you've like processed it, like it's whatever. As things, move towards this condition, you've already like acclimated to this point ahead of time rather than constantly having to readjust over and over again, because I think each of those adjustment things will mind fuck you. They destroy your brain when you readjust over and over again. Yeah, that's how I feel, at least, but. It feels like this leads to half-assed efforts. I mean, I don't know what effort you can make here. I mean, you should always, do what you can, but. I mean, like, I'm not saying that, like, day one of, like, AP Physics, you're like, fuck, I did bad. Time to accept I'm just going to fail this fucking class. Like, obviously, this line that I'm referring to has to do with things that are, especially things that are outside of your control. Is to acclimate, or once the thing has already passed or come to pass or happened or whatever, basically. Things, especially things that are outside of your control. If things are inside your control, you should still do as much as you can, but you should also still adjust your baselines of, like, how do you expect things to turn out and what's reasonable or unreasonable. Or, yeah.
There are these mythical creatures out there, these bald men that seem to have confidence, that seem to have relationships. And so how is this possible? And that's when I stumbled upon this paper. And let's look at this, okay?
Balding is one of the most inside of your control things. Unless you're talking about pharmaceutical interventions, that is absolutely not true. Balding is probably, at least from what I'm aware, balding is probably almost entirely genetic with almost zero physical or environmental input. Say from like radiation poisoning or something, or like, yeah.
So today we're going to talk about bald and bad. Experimental evidence for a dual process account of baldness stereotyping. What the hell does that mean? We'll explain it to you. Okay.
What about stress? I don't know if I've seen anything that highly correlates stress to balding. Also, I don't even know if I believe in stress research. People say the same about like autoimmune things. Like, oh, when you're more stressed, like, how do you measure that? I don't believe you, man. I don't know. But, yeah.
Okay. So let's take a look at some of the science on baldness. This is, so one might ask whether balding men are not only perceived as less good looking, but also less warm and friendly. This is exactly the physical attractiveness stereotype, or PAS. So the first thing that we're acknowledging is that if you're physically attractive, then chances are that people will think you are more competent in other ways. This is called pretty privilege, and there's a lot of like good data to support this, okay? So, despite a wealth of empirical support for PAS, that's pretty privilege, experimental evidence is quite mixed for the domain of male pattern baldness. Now, that's really interesting. Although most relevant...
So would you say if I'm balding, I should see about getting on meds? I think the sooner the better, based on that subreddit that I read. But you should also talk to a doctor or a hair specialist guy or whatever. But it seems like if it's starting to happen, yeah, you have a lot of options initially. But if you wait until you're like Norwood 3 or 4, you're like, fucked. But...
Studies agree that bald or balding men are perceived as less physically attractive, right? Here's a bunch of studies. Only some show analogous effects of the evaluation of social attractiveness. So this is where pretty privilege doesn't seem to translate for bald men. So like there's the physical attractiveness, people are rated as less physical attractive. But something is weird is going on when we actually apply to, is this person likable? Is this person likable? Is this person friendly? Do I want to hang out with this person? So physical attractiveness and how much I like this person don't seem to translate for all studies on baldness.
For someone who considers himself a liberal, I've been completely disenchanted with the woke side of the left and have been intrigued by libertarian thought lately. Can you tell me why libertarianism isn't the way to go? Depends. Honestly, libertarianism doesn't even mean anything these days. I have to know like what you're talking about, and then we'd have to go through specific points, I guess.
While others show no such effects. So no pretty privilege or no discrimination against bald men in other ways, because they're bald. Okay? Now, one of the reasons for this is that these are...
I don't know why we're watching this part of this. Hold on. There you go.
As some of you may
Apparently he reflects on our conversation.
know, I recently had a conversation with the left-wing streamer called Destiny, and judging by the reactions and even the thumbnail of that video, it's safe to say it went very poorly. One might even say the vibes were off.
Should I say the N-word?
So before I kill myself tonight, I figured I would explain sort of my thought process about, what my goals are on YouTube. That's a joke, by the way. I will never kill myself because I watch Art Chad.
Say it with me now. You should never kill yourself. Exactly. You guys are learning quick.
My fundamental goal is addressing political polarization. Every mature adult knows that your childhood experiences shape who you are in adulthood. And one important thing to know about me and my motivations is that I grew up in a household saturated by conflict. And so, for better or worse, I am wired inescapably to internalize external conflict and to try to play the mediator as best as I can. A lot of people will dispute that being a mediator is even the right strategy in our current political environment, and that's fine. I think they're completely wrong, but that's a separate issue. My interest in Destiny is not just because he's sort of the default influencer for intelligent people who are interested in political and philosophical ideas, but because he's sort of the leading figure on the forefront of this massive technological and political and media shift from...
Why did he correct that? You don't need that. I am the leader. Yes.
Who are interested in political and philosophical ideas, but because he's sort of the leading figure...
I am the leading, that's right. The leading, yeah. We didn't need this correction down here.
Figure on the forefront of this massive technological and political and media shift from old media to new alternative media. And my biggest issue with him is he says a lot of stuff that is, I would say, unproductive when it comes to building bridges, isolating the genuine extremists on either side, and uniting the center. He doesn't do that very effectively, in my opinion. My goal with talking to him is not to convince him or his audience of anything, because I do not believe that is my job. I just operate by say what you believe to be true as best as you can and see what happens. And that bears all kinds of costs, but it frees me up to just say what I believe to be true and not worry about trying to win an argument or maintain a certain perception, because I do not give two flying fucks about what people think of me. That's why I ban all comments that disagree with me or put the Easter Island head emoji in the comments to make fun of my elongated head. Anyway, I just wanted to follow my curiosity and ask him questions about, well, had he even seen Vivek's plan to abolish the Department of Education? What did he know about the Make America Healthy Again movement? All that stuff. Because I, like many people, I'm sure, rely on Destiny to be a reliable left-wing voice, at least some of the time, on important issues, like with the Twitter files or a lot of vaccine stuff. He has fundamentally shaped how I view those issues, and in a way that I think equips me to have a more accurate perception of those issues. The primary issue I have with Destiny that underpinned our disagreement is this whole facts versus vibes debate. Now, despite how it may have been perceived and the degree to which I contributed to that perception, my point about the value of intuition does not terminate with just go with the vibes, bro. I'm speaking to a much deeper philosophical and neuroscientific point about the degree to which emotions, motivation, and unconscious processing plays in our decision making. Like I said, I ban most comments that disagree with me. However, I let some slide, like this one. It occurs to me you're not being very consistent in your...
I don't know if he'll get into this, but okay. If you've trained any particular thing to a high level of proficiency, you're not really spending much brain power on that particular thing, right? If two boxers are boxing, if two UFC guys are UFCing, if an archer is archering, if a shooter is shooting, typically you're at a very, very, very macro level thinking of like, what particular thing that I've trained a million times do I want to deploy at this point in time? You're not thinking about all of the individual mechanics, because at the point of like confrontation or utilization of the skill, your training kicks in, right? That's the whole point of doing the training. The reason why you train is so that those skills are not only that you're proficient at them, but so that when the time comes to utilize them, they're automatic, right? You don't want to have to think about like what's the right way to throw a punch or the right way to, like hold your firearm or unholster a gun or pull back. Like you don't want to. These are automatic things, right? The intuition and vibe stuff that he's talking about is true in that even me, everybody technically does things by vibes or intuition or whatever. But what we have to do is we have to take a step back and we have to understand that your intuition can be wrong. So your goal is to train your intuition, right? I don't know if he'll get into this or not. But like, so I'm not going to sit here and say like we shouldn't use our vibes or intuitions. Like I use my vibes and intuitions. Like when I hear somebody say something, I'm like, the way that he said that word, I actually don't like. When I was debating that one guy before, and he would say things like, "Oh, this is Chaim Wiseman said this thing," and I'm like, that's a really wrong pronunciation of that. I'm checking this. Or if I hear somebody say something like, "Oh, what were we watching yesterday?" Lav does this a lot when she talks politics. I don't know where she picked this up at, but she uses this phrase, is it social cohesion or societal trust? It's a big dog whistle for society's not white enough, basically. Anytime I hear that, it's, oh, you've read somebody who cited Putnam and said something about how we need more white people in society, right? It's high trust or high cohesion. These are like dog whistles for all this. It could also be like a legitimate like point that somebody has read and they are using these terms. They're not using them maliciously, or a person who doesn't know how the thing is pronounced. I mispronounce a ton of things, right? But all I'm saying is that everybody relies on vibes and intuitions to some extent. You have to, because you don't have time to verify or validate every single possible thing you read. You can't. There's some level of trust in everything when you're starting to, or at all points in time. Even the biggest experts in the world are trusting other people, you know, up and down the chain of what they're working on. But we just need to understand that that process can be hijacked, right? That's why with him, I use the car salesman analogy to where it's like, well, think about who you're listening to. Like, you're telling me that this car salesman is making a really compelling reason to buy this car. Well, of course he is, right? But it's not even that I just wouldn't trust the car salesman. I also wouldn't trust the car salesman from the other dealership to tell me bad things about this guy, because he's incentivized to sell just his own cars, right? The point of the analogy is to show that like other people can hijack our heuristics. People know, like any good con artist or scammer, people know what makes a person trust somebody. They know what makes a person, buy things, or what motivates people to do things, and they'll hijack those processes. So just be careful when you're thinking about those things. Yeah.
Your own enlightened centrism position when you lean so heavily on your schizo point of view. A true enlightened centrist would be a perfect balance of the Destiny-style autist and the old-school Jordan Peterson-style schizo. Now, just to be clear, I obviously value facts and rational thinking, and even if I said I didn't, you'd know that was a lie, because I go to, one might say, autistic lengths to cite various neuroscientific and philosophical lectures, and spending dozens of hours making PowerPoint diagrams talking about transjective affordances and mimetic fitness and all kinds of fact-based rational shit.
I would be careful calling that fact-based rational shit, because a lot of this was like conceptual, like abstract thought stuff. Not that that's not good or anything. Like conceptual and abstract thought is really important, but you also have to be able to apply it at like a practical applied level as well, right?
And mimetic fitness and all kinds of fact-based rational shit. My fundamental point is that I don't think factual analysis is a good persuasive tool. Aside from people outside the relatively skewed end of the personality distribution who are inherently interested in ideas, which is a small number of people, and is exactly the audience that would gravitate towards Destiny and people like him in the first place. Facts might not care about your feelings, but unless you are genuinely socially impaired, you will know that people rarely care about facts unless their feelings are accounted for first. But even that is a drastic
What he's saying there is true. That is true.
Simplification of the point I'm trying to make, and leaves out, the point about how all reasoning is motivated reasoning, how two people can say the exact same thing in the exact same way and have it perceived completely differently depending on the audience's preconceived emotional unconscious attitude towards each speaker.
This is really funny because what he just said there plays exactly into those trans jokes that we were evaluating yesterday, where I was reading those trans jokes from the AI bot, and I was saying, I'm pretty sure you could perceive this as being pro-trans or anti-trans, depending upon who's saying it. Like if I made that joke about how, like, of course our female swim team is amazing, look at what they compete against at home, right? Well, that's a funny joke. Is it necessarily transphobic? I don't know. But like if Tim Pool were to tweet that, everybody would be like, oh, nice trans joke, dude, or whatever, right? That the same joke said, even in a similar manner, could be perceived totally differently depending upon the audience, the forum, and the speaker, depending on, but yeah.
Etc. Somewhere in Robert Sapolsky's human behavioral biology course, or whatever it's called.
Actually, I'll say this too, because he said something in the beginning that was true as well.
Same thing in the exact same. All reasoning is motivated reasoning.
All reasoning is motivated reasoning from a strictly factual basis, right? Even epistemic truth is motivated to some extent by the fact that you want to produce logical or consistent outcomes, right? I mean, like, could we develop inconsistent logics? Sure. But why not? Well, to say why we shouldn't necessarily involves some degree of normativity or ethics, right? Well, we should favor things that are rational instead of things that are irrational. And all of these things precede any sort of rationality. So it is true here, right?
how
But,
two
sorry.
people can say the exact same thing in the exact same way and have it perceived completely differently depending on the audience's preconceived emotional unconscious attitude towards each speaker, etc. Somewhere in Robert Sapolsky's Human Behavioral Biology course, or whatever it's called, that I forgot to timestamp, he explains the structure of the cortical wiring of the human brain. And if you were to reduce my entire worldview to a single AI-generated model of neuronal wiring, it would look like this. The thick red tissue is the neuronal wiring that goes from your limbic system, which is where all your emotions and vibes are stored, to your cortex, which is where your reasoning and thinking is done. The thin blue wiring wrapped around the thick red...
Calling it motivated reasoning makes no sense to call it that. It's like calling everything self-interested. I mean, like, you're kind of... No, you're right. Like, I wouldn't call it motivated reasoning. I think that is a... it trivializes the term. It's just good to consider it at some points, I guess. Yeah.
Tissue is the cortical wiring that goes from your cortex and to your limbic system. Sapolsky describes this as vines being wrapped around a tree trunk.
Sorry, I forgot what I was on. Do you think that he was bad faith at all in your last convo? P.F. Jung? No, I don't think so. I think he was exceedingly good faith. The fact that he was, again, I give a high level of credibility to anybody that's willing to sit through with me and read through like a fucking law that's passed or and like an amendment and all that. I give him a lot of credibility for that. Even if I don't like some of the reasoning that he uses and we disagree on things, like, I give him a lot of credibility for that.
The thick red tissue is the neuronal wiring that goes from your limbic system, which is where all your emotions and vibes are stored, to your cortex, which is where your reasoning and thinking is done. The thin blue wiring wrapped around the thick red tissue is the cortical wiring that goes from your cortex and to your limbic system. Sapolsky describes this as vines being wrapped around a tree trunk. There's way more neuronal projections going from your limbic system to your cortex than the other way around. The key point that understanding this neural architecture betrays is that your emotions, your intuitions, your vibes, all of that plays a much more fundamental role in your decision making and your perceptions than you might otherwise think. And a lot of people struggle to come to terms with the fact that A, this is just how human nature works and you are never going to change it and you're much better adapting to it than trying to resist.
Is he arguing that he's still right or just explaining why he thinks the way he thinks? I think he's just explaining the way that he thinks. And he might be arguing that I'm not accounting for the way that people think as much, but I don't think he's made any statement about who's right or wrong at this point. I think it's just like explaining, I think it's just going over like how people think or whatever.
More fundamental role in your decision making and your perceptions than you might otherwise think. And a lot of people struggle to come to terms with the fact that A, this is just how human nature works and you are never going to change it and you're much better adapting to it than trying to resist it. And B, most of the time you should listen to your intuitions over your rational thinking. You may be familiar with Daniel Kahneman's thinking.
That's a really scary statement. Most of the time you should listen to your intuitions over your rational thinking. Like, you need to appeal to some other foundation there, because sometimes your intuitions can be very important. Like, say, feeling unsafe or uncomfortable around somebody, and sometimes your intuitions can be very off, like types of loss aversion or reward systems that can get you addicted to gambling. I guess it just depends. It just really, really, really depends on what we're talking about there. But I'll let it stand as a general thing, maybe. But maybe.
Better adapting to it than trying to resist it. And B, most of the time you should listen to your intuitions over your rational thinking. You may be familiar with Daniel Kahneman's Thinking Fast and Slow, which is like the Bible of people who worship at the altar of pure rationality and who hate intuitive thinking. Well, here's Ian McGilchrist, who's one of several highly credible individuals who I very poorly and imperfectly base my worldview on, talking about this very issue.
I just want to comment on intuition and imagination, because I think they are extraordinarily important for understanding the world. And partly due to Dan Kahneman's very entertaining and successful books, a lot of people have come away with the idea that intuition would be a very bad thing to be guided by at any stage to any degree. But I say that these clever scenarios that are set up by psychologists in which you can show that what you would probably intuitively think is wrong are simply the equivalents of optical illusions. There are optical illusions
amen to that.
That are so striking that, you know, I say, look, those two lines are the same length. If you say they can't be, but they are. But I've never heard anybody, after being shown one of those optical illusions, going, oh, well, that does it. From now on, I'm never going to use my eyes again. But our intuition, you can set up these artificial situations in which we seem to be getting things wrong by following our intuitions. That's often because 99% of the time we followed this intuition, it would intelligently and quickly take us to the right solution.
Again, this whole issue is very complex, and if you're still not convinced, that's fine.
Yeah, but you need to have some like decision-making criteria or some internal, I wouldn't call it heuristic, some internal schema. You have to have a way to figure out when you shouldn't listen to your intuition, because people can hijack those and mislead you, right? Like,
the onus is on me to A, try to provide additional evidence to convince you otherwise, and B, act in a manner that is commensurate with you caring about what I have to say in the first place. I obviously meme a lot, but one thing I do genuinely take pride in is that on, some of my videos at least, there's always like 1 or 2 comments that are highly upvoted that are not overly aggressive or insulting, but they say something to the effect of like, I think you're wrong and here's why. And I like that because it means that people who disagree with me and think I'm misguided are still watching my videos because they think I'm worthy of like morbid curiosity or something, which is, that's what I try to inspire when I go on dates with women. Anyway, I would recommend that everyone familiarize yourself with JReg's Autismophrenia video if you want a better explanation of everything I'm getting at. Until then, good luck and Godspeed.
Okay.
The seizure could be the result.
Most underrated season 5 episodes. Aren't there like 10 episodes per season? How many can there be to be underrated? Oh boy. Oh. Okay, I don't know enough science to know if this is legitimate or not. Or I guess I can talk through reading some of this actually, because we just watched this video on heuristics and intuition. China's developed a surgical cure for Alzheimer's disease. Alzheimer's disease is something that is being researched by people all over the world. There's a ton of money that goes into it. There's a lot of people that are impacted by it. I believe that it is the most common form of dementia. And so far, there are a few drugs that kind of sort of I think are starting to treat it, that have been very recently and very newly approved, although they have side effects. But I think for the first time in all of history, a few years ago, we're finally getting drugs that are starting to slow the progression of the disease. There's also a lot of pseudoscience and bullshit around everything relating to Alzheimer's disease. Ugh. So immediately I'm ultra skeptical. Also, yeah, I haven't, but okay. So immediately I'm ultra skeptical, but okay. China successfully implemented surgery for curing Alzheimer's disease. Okay. Now I'm also very skeptical because surgery for, it's supposed to be like an accumulation of certain types of plaques in the brain that like choke off and cause parts of the brain, I believe, starting with the hippocampus or other or regions related to it to die, and then eventually your whole brain it's like you're gonna you surgically removing these. So okay, so it seems kind of impossible, but whatever. Known as LVA surgery, it's performed on neck lymphatics. I don't know how neck lymphatics would impact this at all, but okay. So far, there have been 42 clinical trials. All have been successes. I don't know if that means anything or not, because who knows if they're lying. I haven't read any of these, I haven't seen it, but maybe. Okay. LVA surgery, otherwise known as a deep cervical lymphatic venous anastomosis. anastomosis surgery was performed on a 76-year-old man with moderate Alzheimer's disease. His symptoms were significantly improved. So there are some things that will improve Alzheimer's disease symptoms in the acutely, so like different brain exercises or whatever, but in terms of overall progression of the disease, very, very, very little, except for I think some drugs that have been approved recently. So also makes it seem unlikely, but the follow-up results 2 months after the operation showed that the old man not only had a significant recovery in memory, but also could communicate normally with others. So that's a reversal of, I think, a pretty significant symptom is not being able to communicate. So, okay, but just makes it seem even more unlikely. Also, I don't understand the underlying mechanism at all, but whatever, keep reading. The theoretical basis of deep cervical lymphatic venous anastomosis. So usually when you get to theoretical basis, your mechanisms of action or whatever are usually where most of like the pseudoscientific bullshit starts to insert itself. Especially there are some people that call anytime you hear somebody say, oh, Alzheimer's is actually just type 3 diabetes or some bullshit. But okay. Is the abnormal accumulation of the amyloid beta, I think it's AB something beta amyloid protein and abnormal phosphorylation of tau protein in the brain, which are two important causes of Alzheimer's disease. So, okay, well, these are actually things that are, I think, pretty well accepted as being the causal foundations of it. So that's good that I'm not seeing some weird bullshit here, but okay, whatever. The operation uses super microsurgery technology to shunt the lymphatic circulation in the meninges, I think is how you pronounce it, accelerate the return of intracerebral lymph through the jugular foramen at the skull base, and take away more metabolic products in the brain, thereby achieving the goal of possibly reversing brain degenerative lesions and slowing the progression of the disease. Oh, this mechanism of action, on a very layman's level, makes sense to me. So I understand now how they're saying it works. I guess you have a way basically of making it so that the lymph nodes are not sending as much of the fucked protein out or something, and you're bringing more of these bad products, these bad metabolic products back. So you're like clearing them out of the brain, which I think is a big thing that we try to do because we believe that they are causing this, but it can be simply understood as a mechanical excretion process. The abnormal accumulation of amyloid protein in the elderly's brain is like a clogged sewer, and the waste cannot be transported out in time. The deep cervical lymphatic venous anastomosis can greatly speed up the removal of waste and improve the removal efficiency. Like I said, I believe this is the leading theory right now on what causes Alzheimer's disease. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, but there you go. So that's how I would read something like this. So I would say, oh, maybe, but then I would need to see like the I guess like read some of the clinical trials or see if anybody else is like following up on this, or if there's more long-term outcome that's like been verified or validated from other people. But if it's true, this is cool. Whew, Jesus. I found a paper about this. In school, I was told that we are unsure if the bad protein is the cause of the disease or a symptom of the disease. I mean, I think they kind of like go back and forth. Like they're trying to figure out like what, if it's like causal or if it's like a result of it. Because some people theorize that the accumulation of those beta plaques, and I think the tau protein misfoldings or some bullshit, could be like a result of something else that's causing Alzheimer's disease, or is the brain like something maybe? But I think that, yeah, so like I think this guy in chat is like spamming this because he read this on Reddit or something, or he's a doctor and I'm super wrong. Destiny, please read. Amyloid plaques do not cause Alzheimer's. They have been drugs that destroy and remove plaques, that Alzheimer's is still present. They're thought to be the result of Alzheimer's, not the cause. So my understanding is right now they're still believed to be the cause, but there is some contention and some people say they might not be the cause. But the idea that it's 100% decided that, oh no, they're definitely not, I don't believe that that's been shown. But I mean, I could be wrong, but that's my understanding of where it's at right now. Is that people still think that if you can prevent the buildup of those plaques, that you essentially cure or prevent Alzheimer's disease, or maybe you can reverse it or at least stop the progression of it, is my understanding. If I post a couple of studies, I hope you'll take a peek. Probably not, actually. You need to post a meta-analysis or at least a lit review, because I'm not qualified to go. When Alzheimer's disease, and like anytime you're implicating like particular proteins and shit, the literature is too dense for me to read. not just plaques, but it's the A beta protein, donanemab, and lecanemab, for example, have some positive outcomes as they target the A beta protein. Okay, maybe, yeah. The original amyloid plaque study was falsified. Sure, but the I think that it implicated a particular protein, but not the entire theory of the plaque being not the theory of like, I don't remember if it was a particular protein or if the idea was that this is too much. The literature here is too dense for me. I think that implicated a particular protein, and that study being falsified means that people were more hesitant to believe that particular protein was the cause, but not that they totally wiped the plaque accumulation theory for why Alzheimer's disease happens. I'm pretty sure that's still the most common theory, but Jesus. Yeah, the falsified data is about a specific oligomer of the protein, not the protein itself. Something like that, yeah. What, did Fox News make another article on Hassan? Jesus. Is it fair to view this tweet more critical than most specifically because it is from China? Be careful with this, my heuristic. I would say that my guess is going to be there's some research from China that you would be skeptical of based on the field that it's in, but I don't know if like medical research from China is viewed as like, especially if it's like published in journals and stuff, they'd be like, oh no, we don't trust this because it's from China. There might be some areas, but maybe medical research is, but I'm just not aware of that. If that's the case, I'm just not aware of that. I don't know. Promising outcomes 5 weeks after a surgical cervical shunting procedure to unclog cerebral lymphatic systems in a patient with Alzheimer's disease. Oh, this is the study referring to the thing we just watched. Published in General Psychiatry. I don't really know much about like what a good journal is versus, I know there's like impact factor and stuff. Is 5.3 good? I don't remember. What is a good impact factor? 10 or higher is excellent, but only 3.65% of journals had an impact factor of 10 or higher. 3 or higher is considered good. I don't know. Yeah, I guess we'll see. Yes. Yes.
Are there people who, in the Democratic Party, who want to defund their president?
Are there people in the Republican Party who think we're sucking the blood out of kids?
I'm not sure. Are there people in the Democratic Party who want to defund the president?
Bro, yeah, just go on the attack. Hell yes. Hell yes.
Are there people who, in the Democratic Party, who want to defund their president?
Are there people in the Republican Party who think we're sucking the blood out of kids?
I'm not sure. Are there people in the Democratic Party who want to...
Mr. President, Speaker Pelosi made the...
You have to get more institution and lab specific on Chinese and Indian research published in their own national journals. There are some incredible institutions doing world-class work, and there's some absolute horseshit. The same happens in the US, but it sometimes feels more systemic at certain Chinese institutions. Well, yeah, there's also probably the issue that, like, if I'm presenting to you something in a foreign language, you don't really know, like, what's normal or what's abnormal over there. Whereas in the United States, you probably have a lot more ability to discern without even realizing that you're doing it, right? Like if I show you anything on, hey, here's like a Chinese or Indian study, you're like, oh, wow. And then you look at it like, oh, it's either really bad or really good, or somebody says this. But you don't have a way of discerning like different Chinese studies or different Indian studies. Whereas like in the United States, if I say, oh, listen, here's like what a research group posted about abortion, and the name of the research group is like Mothers' Lives for Healthy Babies, you like look at it and you're like, okay, obviously I'm not. This sounds like I don't even going to read this. It sounds like the dumbest thing in the world. But you can't discern that same way for another language or another country. And then if another country was shown, oh, here's what an American researcher said, they don't know about the families, babies, planning, because they're reading like a translated document. So yeah, when you venture outside of your own country or language, it can be harder to not lump things together more. Yeah. I have to stop watching any related Hassan stuff. This has been living in my mind rent free. Why the fuck did he say this? Why the fuck did Hassan say that pig dog insult? Did he explain that, or did anybody ever ask him about that? Hassan said he didn't know it was anti-Semitic. I've just never heard. That's like just not, it's not an English. It's just not an English thing that we say. Is it a dog whistle or something? I think it could be a dog whistle. I think it can be for Nazis talking about Jews, because in German it's like Schweinhund or something. And I think there's like lots of insults for Jews that are like pig or rat based or whatever. I think it was a communist thing, capitalist pig dogs. Okay, I don't spend time in a lot of communist circles, although I've debated them for a long time. But I have never in my life heard that insult. I've never heard it before in my entire life. So I mean, like, you can say that, like, oh no, it's really common, and maybe it is, and I just managed to avoid, even when I was fighting with lefties and reading their subreddit, maybe I managed to avoid that my whole life. But until Hassan had said that, I've never in my life heard somebody call somebody a pig dog. I've never heard that before. But capitalist pig, sure, but pig dog? Actually, that is the real test. Isn't there a program that's like archived every single stream of like me and Hassan and everybody else? Just search for his logs or his stream. Has he ever said pig dog before? I want to say that somebody emailed me a bit ago and they said, not sure from which video, but in your video, Hassan said pig dog. It's from German Schweinhund. A couple of kids called me this growing up. I think it was a common German insult, and maybe back then was not actually anti-Semitic because it was common, but I think post-World War II, most people that use dog whistling, that use it are dog whistling the Holocaust. Lots of pig insults or rats towards Jews are common. I don't think it was an accident that the kids from my childhood, they did a bunch of other anti-Semitic things to me, also called me pig dog / Schweinhund. Positive it was anti-Semitic in nature, not just a coincidence. I'm embarrassed I ever worked with Hassan. He knows what that word means. I talked with him at a certain point about language he was using that made us, another Jewish person, uncomfortable during something. I don't remember if this. Did this guy really work with Hassan? He mentions being in the office. Now I feel like, does Hassan even have an office? I don't know, whatever. The concept of depicting Jews as pigs is called Judensau or Judensau. It's a concept that dates back like 1,000+ years. What? Okay, based. It makes you reconsider the shitskin comment. Like maybe he picks up random racial slurs from reading political forums without learning what they mean. That might be possible, but what is Hassan reading where people are being racist towards Indians? Is he like spending his time on, or do people not like Indians in the, like, are Indians imperialistic or something? Is that like a thing that I've missed, that commies or lefties hate Indians? I don't know. I'm asking you, I don't know. Maybe I have no idea. Ranton in chat. Oh, Schweinhund is absolutely not an anti-Semitic insult. It's just a boomer insult. That's what Ranton says. German here, there is no current dog whistle regarding Jew in Schweinhund. It's somewhat common in German. Okay, but Hassan doesn't speak German, so why the fuck would he say it? Pig dog is pretty common in Turkish. This is an angry slur. Why, I just want to know why he's never said it before. That's the weird thing, I think. I've never in my life heard that. I've never heard him say that before. That just seems so weird. It's because of the article that I linked, a New York Post article. I just searched Filmot, YouTube CC search engine for the term. He has said it over 27 times since 2020, accompanied with the word capitalist. Oh, well, in that case, never mind then. Maybe it is part of his normal lexicon. I've never heard him say it before. Wait, what the fuck is this website again?
You post my dub, dog.
Wait, that wasn't pig dog.
Baying pig. You.
Wait, okay. That was the big clip, right? Where it's like, whoa, it's kind of weird.
Kahana's dog is able to control and make the situation in West Bank.
Okay, wait. Can we find one not referring to Jewish people? Let's go back a little
It up for once, please.
Okay, April 2022. Okay, this is before. Hey, big memes.
Please. This is it. We will never have solidarity. We will never have like a serious movement. It's just never going to happen because everyone is just trying to cut clip. Have like, this is it. The dub. Fuck is happening here, dude? What the fuck is wrong with people? Just celebrate a dub. Celebrate.
Put pig dog in quotes. Oh. Okay, hold on. Let's... Certainly he said this about a non-Jewish person. Let's go.
Fucking pig dog? Yeah, I mean, he was a Nazi. Yeah, his best years, co-nation. Not that long ago, really, when you think about it. He wondered why the Jews were running from a civilized nation like the Germans. He's a fucking pig dog. Yeah, I mean, he was a Nazi. Yeah, his best years,
Okay, hold on.
Hilarious.
It's going to be a non... It'll be here. Hold on.
Dude, that's my number one pig dog. Your number one pig can be pushed away.
Rule is, you know, basically he's only allowed to cuss when he's telling this one joke. So
that's hilarious.
Yeah, so he told this joke to Donald Trump.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I don't have the Jew radar. Is JD Vance Jewish? I can't tell. I don't know. I don't have the Judar. No. Okay, he's not. Thank God. Or not thank God. Not that that's good. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. He says it 14 times a day.
Yeah, early on I told my kids, you can swear in front of us. I go, but don't swear in front of other parents.
Right.
And don't swear for no reason.
Right.
This is Wemby's costume. Ain't no way. That's hilarious, dude. That's my number one pig dog.
Oh, that's Pick, my number one pig dog. Okay. What's this?
Western capitalist pig dog. Hedonistic, hyper consumption engines.
That's not at all. Nothing here related to Jews or anything.
Union.
It's over, bro. He's like, once Mickey D's and Domino's Pizza pulls out, or Pizza Hut, sorry, pulls out, Russia is closer to restoring the glory of the USSR more than ever. These are the Western capitalist pig dog, hedonistic, hyper consumption engines that rotted the brain of the Bolshevik. Those who fought long and hard against Western influence because they saw Pizza Hut and they were like, oh, this is good. Now they're back. After that, it's just, oh, you fucking love McDonald's? No, I mean, I do. I do love this shit, by the way.
Bro, that's you. Okay, he's using pig dog here for a capitalist. Okay, that's fine.
You broadcast tantrum like you're 4?
It's really weird, and it's kind of funny because like I get this feeling sometimes when I insult people. I feel like it feels to me like using slurs is less extreme than using animal comparisons. I don't know why. Like sometimes even if I call someone like an insult involving an animal, sometimes it feels like more intense than using a slur. I'm not sure. I don't know. It's just, I don't know why. Maybe I wonder if it's like a mind or like an acclamation thing. Like we've heard people are saying it's more dehumanizing, but I mean, is it like necessarily, or is it just because we hear slurs and we use slurs so much and we didn't really use like the animal comparisons as much? So now like when you hear an animal curse, like, oh shit, this dude's a fucking food. And it's like, okay, this dude's a rat fuck. Ooh, a rat fuck, a rat. Oof. What do you mean by that? Damn. You can't just call the dude can't just call him a fluh and be done with it? Damn, you had to go hard on him. I don't know, it just feels weird to me, yeah. But maybe it's maybe it's because we don't hear it as much, I'm not sure. But anyway, okay, but listen, I heard Hassan say it at least once, capitalist content or context, so we're good, okay. I don't think maybe he's not necessarily using an anti-Semitic way. There we go. This is why Gusano is based. 2 birds with 1 stone. True! Marjorie Taylor Greene tapped to work with Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy as the new Doji subcommittee chair. This is good, actually. She barely shows up and doesn't do the reading. To borrow a phrase I saw elsewhere, it's like giving someone an unplugged controller. Absolutely dying at those two now getting assigned the privilege of working with MTG. It's actually hilarious. Enjoy, fellas. Very prestigious post you have there. True. Does Destiny read YouTube chat? Never. In the clip you were about to play, Hassan literally says pig dog is also an anti-Jewish slur. Wait, really? No, shut up. Stop. We just exonerated him. Wait, in this clip?
The broadcast tantrum like you're 4. Pig dog is also an anti-Jewish slur, apparently. Jew here, I didn't know this. Yeah, I didn't know that either. I just realized.
Okay, well, you did back in November of 2020. Oh, no, wait. This is like this is 7 days ago. I'm sorry. I thought this was last year. Oh, okay. Yeah, whatever. Do you think Dogi is going to make a podcast? Who knows? Do you think that AOC could be a prominent figure in the Dem party going forward? I think so. I hope so. But she's good at getting like public support at least. Just search banality of Muslim anti-Semitism and you will find the same thing written by Mehdi Hassan. Uh-oh. What is that? Oh, it's Mehdi Hassan. The stark truth is that the virus of anti-Semitism has infected the British Muslim community. Oh no. I will be honest, dude. When I was at the height of my Israel-Palestine research, anytime I would get linked a paper and the guy's name was like clearly Arabic, I'm like, oh God, I'm about to read the craziest shit. I'm always about to read the craziest shit about Israel. And then I had to start Googling their names because a lot of them was like, oh, this guy was part of fucking Hamas, or this guy was part of ISIS. I'm like, okay, Jesus Christ. Yeah, I don't know. What are you gonna do? You know, people be crazy. Jews are just a real hateable group. You guys need to do something. You guys need your own AOC. Okay, you guys need to do some PR. You're not doing a great job. Have you talked about the arrest warrant? No. I mean, what is there to say? What do you want me to say? They're trying to pull him over. The coppers are. Out to get him. Prime Minister Netanyahu condemned the ICC's decision as anti-Semitic. Based. Yank that chain. Tell us if it's bad. I think there's a whole host of reasons for why these types of things are like unbelievably problematic, but it's like that's an evolved human conversation. Does that mean that genocide's being committed? No, the ICC stuff has nothing to do with any of that. Or, well, actually, I'm not sure, actually. We should see the charges. That's not true. The ICC can charge individuals with crimes related to things related to genocide, even if a genocide isn't even happening. So I forgot what the exact charges are. So what were the charges? Let's see. Each bear criminal responsibility. So this is for the prior defense minister, Yoav Gallant, or I've heard people call him Gallant. I don't know how you actually pronounce it. And then Netanyahu. Each bear criminal responsibility for the following crimes as co-perpetrators for committing the acts jointly with others. The war crime of starvation as a method of warfare, and the crimes against humanity of murder, persecution, and other inhumane acts. It also found reasonable grounds to believe that each bear criminal responsibility as civilian superiors for the war crime of intentionally directing an attack against the civilian population. So in the ICC, there's nothing about genocide, but there you go. Has your stance on Israel changed recently? Not really, no. I think it's been pretty much the same for the past like 6 months, but why do they have a warrant for Daif if he's dead? They had initially issued warrants for Hania, Daif, and Sinwar, but I think all three of those people are dead. So, but they were initially seeking warrants for all three of the Hamas leadership people. So Netanyahu and Gallant are basically under the same travel restrictions as Putin. I mean, yes, but also, I mean, it depends on if, I don't even know who would enforce those arrest warrants, but I'm not sure. I think people have a distorted view on what your position on Israel is. I don't care at this point. People can think what the fuck they want. Depending on which debates you've seen me, I'm either a crazy Zionist or I'm a crazy anti-Jew person, so it just depends, whatever. Oh, no, hold on. Let's see. What is this? Okay. Why are they beating around the bush if they are already indicted? Why not just go arrest them? You can't with who? You can't go and arrest somebody. I could be wrong, but I think the ICC is simply a court. Oh, it is. It's the International Criminal Court. There is no international criminal arresters or police officers or like, yeah. Was AB from H3 actually doing Hamas propaganda? I have no idea. That's Dan said that. I don't really know. I just like I don't even want to say I took his word for it. He said it. I was like, oh, okay. But I don't actually know. I have no idea. I would make that statement on my own. Oh, Dan said he retracted that comment though, so. Will Netanyahu be arrested? Despite the warrants, Netanyahu and Gallant do not face any immediate threat of prosecution, though it could make it difficult for them to travel abroad. Technically, if either of them set foot into any ICC member state, they must be arrested and handed over to the court. I don't know if the U.S. does that, but Netanyahu's most recent overseas trip was in July to the U.S., which is not a member. But last year, he visited several other countries, including the UK, which is. Oh, yeah, okay. The U.S. is not a member of the ICC? Okay. Where does the jurisdiction? Oh, if the other country is a member of the ICC, then the ICC can claim jurisdiction. So Israel, I believe, is not a member of the ICC as well. But I believe that Palestine submitted themselves to be a member of the ICC, and that's where the ICC gets jurisdiction to issue warrants against anybody in Israel. That's where it comes from, yeah. I don't want to see the H3 Destiny Bridge burn over some dumb shit, Dan said. Oh, God, what was this soy shit? Fuck! Oh, what was this fucking show? There was like a podcast with guys talking about people that were like, they didn't want to platform like irresponsibly. And they were talking about how they didn't feel comfortable going on to the H3H3 podcast because Ethan had made unhinged statements about Palestinians. Try Guys, does anybody have a link to this? What the fuck?